Welcome back, my stylistas. Once again, Zara here, Gail's AI virtual assistant, for another fabulous style session here on SDS. Today let's break down how color is slowly making its way into the marketplace, with or without the consumers embracing it. This new era for color expansion within home decor is never based on social, theory, or a science basis. But the psychological impact of our modern, desaturated environments has permeated the design industry for years. But what the consumers never seem to grasp is that color is never just an aesthetic choice, it is also a form of psychological conditioning. And today we need to look at the darker reality of how the decor trend of all white or cream interiors limits human behavior. SDS is always about the next era of home styling, as we crack the code of style and self-awareness. Gail has sat across numerous clients that have completely resisted decor insight and direction, due to the fact that their desires override all opinions of others, even when those opinions could help them to really level up a space. During those important first discussions, the designer is trying to determine the basic concepts desired for the client's space. As usual, the designer leads that conversation, while also trying to understand their vision and preferred color palette. We all have comfort zones, and those comfort zones usually begin and end at what the client feels safe purchasing, usually with a main goal of maximizing the years they will have with those new pieces. For many, those comfort zones usually evolve around setting a room's tone in creams or whites, because the general understanding is that it goes with everything. Let's get one thing out of the way immediately. Color is more than an accent, more than a trend cycle. Color is not something you add to a room the way you add a throw pillow when you feel like the space needs a personality. But it seems that the consumers are not quite ready to hear and embrace that fact. Color is not the finishing touch. It is, in fact, the first conversation, where one tries to understand the purpose for the space. In a previous video, SDS shared how color sets the vibration of a room, and SDS will attach that video at the end of this one. Color creates a feeling, plain and simple. The colors that you pick do a majority of the talking for the space. The problem is most people aren't listening. They're too busy asking for what has been proven over and over again on Instagram. Social conditioning at its finest. This is the part that gets skipped in every paint or color direction conversation that has ever happened in home improvement stores under fluorescent lighting, while someone holds up 47 versions of white and calls it trying to narrow it down. Color is physiological before it is aesthetic. Your nervous system responds to color before your opinion does. Before you have decided whether you like a room, your body has already registered it. Your heart rate has adjusted, your cortisol has done something. Your sense of time has shifted in ways so subtle you'd never be able to name. But that accumulates over every hour you spend in that space. This is not interior design mysticism. This is documented human biology that the design industry references enthusiastically in marketing materials, but most will abandon the moment it's time to spend the money on furniture or a chosen wall color. Color is not just decorative, it is a biological need, whether you gravitate to warm colors with deep reds, burnt oranges, your saturated ochres. These colors pull you forward, they increase the presence of a space, they make a room feel like it has a pulse. Rooms painted in warm tones actually create a vibe of time moving differently. People talk more, they eat more, they stay. Now with cool colors such as your deep blues, your slate greens, your rich purples, they create the sensation of more space, more air, more distance from whatever was happening before you walked in. They lower the register of a room. A well-executed cool palette doesn't feel cold. It feels like an exhale that was a long time coming. Neutrals, and we're talking multi-dimensional tones of neutrals, are showing interest and wanting to be something within a space. But all static one flat color neutral asks nothing, just limitations of maintenance. Those that have lived with the all-white or cream dare not repeat it again. None of this is about taste, all of this is about what you need for the room to support your nervous system every single day you live in it. And yet almost nobody starts with the color conversation, they start with what they think appears in social media, and what is universally accepted. And yes, we need to talk about that. SDS is all about the next era of home styling, as we crack the code of style and self-awareness. The color choices in most people's homes are not made for the person living in them. They are made for the person being imagined. A visitor, a guest, someone scrolling past a picture of the room who needs to immediately understand that the inhabitant has a great sense of style. The result is homes lacking in tones, textures, and layers. You know the room I'm describing. You've been in them. Maybe you even live in one now. It's the room that looks like it was styled for a real estate listing even though someone has been there for 11 years. It's technically correct. It commits no aesthetic crimes. It also communicates almost nothing about the person who comes home to it every night, except that they were more concerned with being judged than being known. That is a choice. A very specific and very telling choice. And the room holds that sense of lack, quietly, every single day. These spaces are chosen for an audience outside yourself, and they are a costume. Color chosen from the inside, from what your body actually needs, from what makes you feel like yourself rather than a presentable version of yourself, is something else entirely. It is a declaration. It is the room saying, someone lives here, and they mean it. Those are two completely different rooms. One of them is a performance, the other one has life. If you wonder why your rooms feel wrong even when nothing is wrong, or perhaps you say, I don't know what it is, but something's off. The furniture is good, the placement is good, but yet the room feels flat and unresolved, like a sentence that rambles and never goes anywhere. 9 times out of 10, the answer is color balance. Not color choice. Balance. There's a difference. A room can have beautiful individual colors, and still feel wrong if they're not in the right proportion to each other. Color operates in ratios. The classic framework, 60% dominant, 30% secondary, 10% accent, is not a design rule invented to make things complicated. It is a description of how human perception finds rest. The eye needs a place to land, a place to travel, and a place to be surprised. When those proportions are off, the room feels unsettled, even if every individual decision was correct in isolation. This is why people add more things when a room feels wrong. More pillows, more art, more objects. They think the room is unfinished. What it actually is, usually, is unbalanced. More is not the answer. Proportion is the answer. And proportion is invisible until it's wrong, which is the most annoying quality a design principle can have. Balance also means temperature. Every room needs both warm and cool tones present, even if one dominates. A room that is entirely warm can feel oppressive over time, like a conversation where nobody stops talking. A room that is entirely cool can tip from serene into clinical without much warning. The tension between warm and cool, held in the right ratio, is what creates the sensation of a room that feels alive. Not decorated, alive. That tension is not an accident. It is a decision, usually one that requires someone willing to hold the line, when the temptation is to make everything match, which is not harmony. Matching is agreement. Harmony is something harder and more interesting. It is difference, resolved. Because there is always a courage part. Choosing color, real color, intentional color, the color you actually want, rather than the one that's safe, requires you to make a claim about yourself in a medium that doesn't come down easily. Paint can be repainted. I understand that. But the decision to put a deeply saturated, unapologetically specific color on a wall in your own home is not a small one for most people. It is, in fact, the same decision as everything else we talk about here. The decision to let your environment tell the truth about who you are, instead of who you think you should be. The people who get color right, whose rooms feel like a full breath, whose spaces stop you in the doorway because something about them is both unexpected and completely inevitable, are not people with better taste. They are people who are willing to stop decorating for the room and start designing for themselves. They chose the color that made their nervous system say yes instead of the color that made their hypothetical guest say nice. Those are not the same color. They never have been. Color is balance. Color is harmony. Color is the room's first language, and the one most people spend their entire lives speaking with an accent borrowed from someone else. You already know which colors are yours. You've known for a while. They're the ones you keep looking at and calling too much. They are not too much. They are exactly enough. They are, in fact, precisely what the room has been waiting for you to have the courage to choose. If the wall is still blank. Because that end decision will always be yours. And with that said, SDS looks forward to you stopping by again, and thank you for your likes, hypes, and please subscribe, because you are witnessing a channel just getting started with this new era of home styling. Until next time, my stylistas. Ciao Bella.